No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And good morning, this is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. It might not be morning where you're at, where you're listening to me. It could be evening, it could be the next day if you're in another country. So many different countries listen to this podcast. But I welcome you to the podcast this morning, and I'm glad that you're here. Very happy that you're here. I tell you, it's been kind of a strange weather front that's come to South Carolina. I mean, 3 days of rain, then hot sun that's up to 89 degrees. We go from 60 degrees up to 89 degrees. I am surprised we all don't come down with a cold because of the weather change. Well, think positive, right? We have to think positive and just keep moving forward. That's all that we can do. One thing that really pissed me off this morning, I read an article that said that New York City doesn't like wood-burning pizza makers anymore. Now, if you know anything about New York, it's known for its pizza, and it's good pizza pies, and they're good. And they're made in an oven that burns wood, or sometimes coal. But it's hot, the taste is wonderful, it's got that smoky taste, and it's really good stuff. So the city of New York may soon force pizzerias to pay thousands of dollars in renovations to keep their coal and wood fire ovens because they're concerned about environmental concerns with air pollution, according to a report. Now, I'm going to tell you this. New York has always been a stupid government. It always has been. If you looked at what happened during the pandemic, if you looked at what happened during this inflationary times, then now they want to attack small businesses. Pizzerias are right on the brink of profitability, but just one thing, like renovations, to cure the smoke problem that I don't see in New York City. Do you see it? I don't see it anywhere. Just so that they can have their environmental politics go on. So it says that the New York City Department of Environmental Protection, the DEP, has drafted new rules that would require pizzerias with coal and wooden fire ovens installed prior to 2016 to cut carbon emissions by 75%, according to the New York Post. Restaurant owners would be forced to install a filter to the specified ovens. Well, listen, these little pizzerias have struggled. They were shut down for many, many months. Lockdowns that shut their business doors. And it became an ugly situation. And some of these little pizzerias were in trouble, and some of them failed. Some of them are no longer open that used to be open. Listen, the small business guy doesn't have the money to have an enforcement like this from New York City on their small businesses. I remember during the pandemic, I had to go and perform a wedding on the west coast of Florida. And when I got to the city, the businesses were in trouble. They didn't know what they were going to do. I went into this business and it was empty. They made me wait outside. And that happened not just to one business, but that happened to millions of businesses. Where government came in and said, we know better than you. We're going to shut you down. Didn't think about that they had rent, that they had employment staff, that they had food bills, that they had all sorts of different types of expenses that kept on going, even though they were not able to conduct business. I asked the guy when I was there, I said, how are you making? In fact, by the way, this was a pizza place. How are you making? He says, we're not. I don't know if I'll be alive. I don't know if my company will be alive in the next few months. I never went back there, so I don't know exactly what happened. But I know that business has failed. And when government comes in and tries to mandate things upon you, especially on a wood-burning coal oven, you're not seeing that much pollution coming out of there. I guarantee you, you're not seeing that much pollution. So, again, here we have New York City pounding down on the pizza companies, the small mom and pops, and they're in trouble already. Inflation has almost shut them down again. First it was a pandemic, and now it's inflation. I saw a statement that said, the new Thanksgiving in New York is pizza. It's really a bad situation when we see government overreacting. I just don't get it. The other thing that I saw that was interesting this morning and kind of concerns me because you're knocking out all the interpersonal skills and the relationships that you build. But it said all interviews will be using AI technology. And it will be used by 43% of companies by next year, so a survey says. Now, how does that work exactly? Do you sit in front of a machine and that machine asks you questions and then you respond back to it? So the company will not have any personal individual that's going to be asking that question. It will be a computer, it will be a machine. So how does that machine know if that individual is the right candidate? How do they know if it's going to be the right fit within their company? I don't think AI can take a computer technology and understand what that individual is going through as he's answering those questions. How does it put the interviewee at ease when questions are asked? I don't like this. I don't like this because even in customer service, if you have noticed, customer service stinks because you can never get to a customer service individual. You have to go through a bombardment of questions. And then you're trying to squeak the system, trying to get to a person that will answer your questions. You want to hear a human voice. You want to know that there's someone on the other side that is giving some thought process to your problem. But we've seen it happen more and more where customer service stinks. And you begin to wonder, is there another option for me because I'm not getting the service I want? Now, if we're going to go to interviews, employment interviews, with people using AI, what happens? You're not going to get the best people because now these individuals know how to answer the questions. You're not reading their eye movement. You're not reading their body movement. You're not reading how they communicate. A computer doesn't know that. It just doesn't know that. I mean, you can tweak it and make it as functional as possible, but I'm going to tell you that it's not going to be that experience anymore of you knowing what kind of a company you are. Listen, they can play you a video, but that video doesn't understand how to reach out and touch the passion of that individual you're interviewing. The interviewee wants to see somebody that is really passionate about what they're doing. A video doesn't do it. Doesn't cut it. The other issue that really bugged me this morning, well, it started yesterday when I was reading the report that the U.S. government splurges $12.7 billion to save 10 wealthy depositors out of this latest banking debacle that we had. 10 wealthy depositors is what it covered. Now, it just goes to prove that the U.S. government loves their wealthy friends. They love them. So if we look at the results of what happened is that the U.S. government spent $12.7 billion to bail out 10 wealthy depositors amid the banking crisis that we had in March of 2023. Several high-profile regional banks went bankrupt in the spring of 2023, including Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, Signature Bank, and First Republic Bank. What happens to other clients? Is the U.S. government headed for worse times than the Great Depression? That is the question. And I have to tell you, and I've been telling you this all along, we have a lot more issues in these banks as they go through their testing this week by the Federal Reserve, the stress test to see how much stress they can take. Are they prepared for it? When you have the commercial loan market on commercial real estate, office buildings, shopping malls, etc., when you're starting to see them going into default, going into bankruptcy, just letting their properties go, those are billion-dollar loans that we have sitting out there in banks. Then if you look at the default in the repossession of auto loans, it's growing every single day. If you go to the auto auctions, and I've told you this before, you've seen Wells Fargo cars there that they've had to repo. You've seen auto dealership cars in there that they've had to repo. So we have a problem. We have two big problems. And then we have the normal real estate market, the home loans are beginning to default. So we still have a banking crisis coming. And the suspicion is, will these banks, after they look at all of their risk, and there's a lot of risk sitting there, will they be able to survive a big stress test? And if they can't, then what is the government going to do? What is going to happen to our banking accounts? Now, in other countries, inflation is so bad and the economy is so bad that they are now limiting the amount of money you can withdraw from your bank accounts. In Australia, they went to $600. That's all that you could withdraw from your bank account. And even purchases online for food and other things are now having to be questioned. The UK is really in a big depression. Australia is in big trouble. So we have to watch what happens in our banking industry. What is going on? Now, a lot of small banks have shut down. So where do you go? Well, you have to do it online. I do all of my banking. Well, I'm not going to say how I do it. That's a security issue, isn't it? But if we're going to be limited to the amount of money we can spend, that means that there is a cash flow problem in these banks. And we've known it has been going on because deposits have gone way, way down into these banks. So that's the news. That's the business side of it today. And the answer is, be prepared, budget yourself, and be a good steward of your money. If you would like to have a meeting with me, a confidential meeting, you can book me online, which is at www.lodge-co.com. If you have a business question, send it in to me at thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. Click on the links below. You can see them all below. I have put in all of the content links, and I have also put where my books are. I have some very good books. In fact, I'm working on another book at the moment on starting new businesses and what to look for. Here we go, guys. It's Tuesday. Let's get out there and let's stir the pot. Talk with you soon. God bless. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for your grace, your amazing grace. Thank you for the way that you forgive me every day. Thank you for your grace.